Alright, so in this video, we are going to introduce our player class, which is going to just represent a ship. And this is what we have so far. So I believe in the last one, we just did a blank screen here. Okay, we have space shooter, blank screen. If I hit the X, then it quits perfectly fine, no issues. And that's awesome. Okay, so over here, I'm just going to just create a player. All right, so the way we're going to do that is class, okay, player. And we're gonna have to include this little piece right here, PyGame.sprite. Okay, and we're going to then define an init method. So it'll be PyGame dot. So I'm sorry. Whoa, I had like so many things rushing through my head. Okay, and what we'll do here is we'll say attributes for the player class or for the ship is what we'll say. All right. So inside here, then we have to use, now this line you have to include, okay? It's really long. So pygame.sprite, you'll see we use this all the time. Dot underscore init underscore self, okay? No colon at the end of this one. All right, and one of the main things we have to include here is an image. So we'll use a surface, pygame.surface, and a surface will require two things. We're going to need a width and a height. So let's do, I don't know, let's do 50 by 30. Okay, so it'll be 50 pixels in width and 30 pixels for a height. It's a rectangle. And we'll fill that image, still with green. And then after we have the image, we need to then create a rectangle around the image, because that rectangle is what we're going to be using attributes of that rectangle to move the image however we want. So self.rect is equal to self.image.getRect. Okay, and let's see how we want this. Now, when you think of this particular space shooting game, our ship is only going to be moving to the left and then to the right. Okay, so what we'll say now is self.rect.x. Okay, now remember where x is, right? Here I have like a small visual. If this is our ship, okay, x and y start here, right here at the edge, okay, on this top left hand side. So we want to know, where do you want the ship? Well, if this is the whole screen, we don't want it up here and we're shooting here. We want it down here. Okay, and we don't want it directly on the bottom, maybe like a little, maybe a couple pixels above, so it looks like it's like floating. All right, and also if you remember the height, okay, the way that this works is this would be 0, 0. Right, this will be the width, comma 0. So this is like your x and your y. Okay, this is also your x and your y here, right? So from 0 going horizontally, that gives you the width. Down here, okay, this gives me a vertical axis. So this starts at 0, and as you go down, that's when your y value increases. So this is going to be 0 for the x's, because the x's will still start on the left, comma the height. All right, so to put this in more perspective, let's say this actually. Let's do this. This is 0, 0. This would be 0, comma, the height that we said was, I believe, 600. Okay, this would have then been 480, comma 0. And down here, which you can't really see, so I'm just going to just write over here, this would be the width and the height. Okay, so this would have been 480, 600. That would have been the whole screen. Okay, so we want this piece right here in the middle just to start, and the way we're going to start this is, what would this coordinate be? Okay, well, if it's starting directly in the middle, all right, we want it to be, I'm thinking width, right? So however the length is from here to here, width divided by 2, okay, but careful, because what exactly is the width divided by 2? We know that it's going to be the x, all right, but now if we did that, all right, if we set the x to width divided by 2, that's going to set this top corner piece there, so it's not going to look like it's centered. So we're going to have to use self.rect.center x. So that will start us right here in the center. And then as for the floating piece, okay, we're gonna set now this piece to, let's see, if this was 0 and this is 600, then this might be like 590. Okay, so we can set this to height minus 10. So that way it's centered and it's floating a little bit. All right, so if we go back and do that, we'll say self.rect.centerx is going to give us the width divided by 2, and self.rect.y is going to be the height minus 10. Okay, so that way it looks like it's floating, and of course we're going to go ahead and just show that first. Okay, so before we move on to anything here, we'll say define update. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and just put pass here. All right, down here in the sprite sections, we're gonna create a group, a container. Think of it as like a container where we're gonna put all of our images, our sprites in. So we're gonna have like bullet, it's what is it, meteors, the ship, there's images, there's explosions, bunch of things. We're all gonna put it in this one container, and we're gonna call that all sprites. And so this is gonna be pygame.sprite.group. Okay, and this will hold, I would say it's a container for all the sprites. Okay, all the sprites that we want to update. And then we need to create an object. So right here, player is equal to player. Okay, so I'm using this right here, and we're going to create a player object of this class. And then once we create that, we're going to add it. So all sprites.add this. So I'm placing this into the all sprites group. Okay, so whenever I say, hey, all sprites dot draw to the screen, it will automatically draw everything that's inside of that container. Okay, so I'm gonna go down here, and in this area, we're gonna say all sprites dot draw. I'm sorry, dot update. And down here, after we're finished displaying the screen in black, okay, then we will say all sprites dot draw to the screen, and I forgot that. And if we go ahead and rerun this, let's see, always checking for errors. Oh, definitely have a huge error here, not even sure what happened. So it looks like I don't have, let's see, player PyGame, that's right, that's sprite in it. Oh, there you go. All right, we should be good to go. All right, so look what happened here. Okay, so do you see that my ship right here it's actually 10 pixels from the bottom? Okay, but remember that the Y starts here. Okay, so I've literally taken this Y and I've just moved it up 10. So instead, what we really need to be using is, we're not going to be using .y, but we'll be using .bottom. So this will go to the bottom of the rectangle, and wherever the bottom of the rectangle is, just move it up by 10. Okay, so if we're going to change that, we will have this piece. Okay, and you'll see that it's a little bit small, so maybe I might make this bigger, but you see it's floating, it's hovering from the bottom. Okay, and another thing I want to just show you here was the way that you program and the order that you program it matters, right? If I were to put this here and I were to run this, here's what would happen. Okay, this is a very common mistake. Nothing. Okay, no issues, perfectly fine. Okay, it works, but there's no ship. And the reasoning is because we're drawing this to the screen, and then immediately afterwards, we're filling the screen with black. So it is there, but we're filling the screen with black. So the order does matter. It's more like layers, I guess you can think of it. All right, and so just be aware of that. Is there anything else I wanted to do? Yes. I'm going to change this piece here to X. Now, you don't have to change this on yours. I just want to just show and prove a point here that if you were to set just the X to the width, okay, now it's a little bit weird to see, but the distance from here to here is not the same as the distance from here to there. And just to show you that, I'm going to go ahead and make this like 90. Okay, you should really be able to see it now. Okay, so do you see that the distance from here to here is definitely not the same from here to here? This is way shorter. Okay, if I were to go back and center it, okay, now you'll notice that it is actually from here to here is the same distance as from here to there. That's because it finds the center of the x, okay, and then puts that center at width divided by 2. If you're only setting an x, if you're only setting the x, all right, then what you're essentially doing is you're only setting the top left portion to where the width divided by 2 is, and it's going to look like it's off. Okay, so just simple things to be aware of. Let's go back and just change this back down to 50. All right, and that's what we'll do just for this one, and the next one will begin to move it left and right. Okay, so I'm going to end the video here. It's already 11 minutes about, and I don't know, I only have a couple more.